Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to you, no matter what time you're watching this. Today is November 1st, 2024. Yesterday, many of us celebrated Halloween, and I celebrated Halloween, and I had a really fun time because I dressed like a hippie. And I can identify with some of the energy that those people of the 60s, those young people of the 60s were experiencing. They were learning about themselves, learning about other cultures, and then allowing those energies, those thoughts, those philosophies to influence their decision making and their lives holistically. I had fun. And as I was going throughout my day and periodically popping onto social media, I noticed that some people were saying things like that Halloween was bad, and that it was came from a bad place, and that people who participated in Halloween customs were doing bad things. And I understand, and I'll say this, I respect it. I don't quite understand where they are coming from, but I can respect that. But I'm sure what I'm about to say is probably going to be classified by some as negative or bad. And I mean, that's your opinion. But last year, about this time, those of you who followed me noticed one of the things that I said I was going to do is leave up my ancestral altar. I previously would put up an ancestral altar every year for around Halloween time to honor my ancestors. But this year, which was last year, I was inspired to keep my ancestral altar up. So for 1 year, I have been working with my ancestral altar, and I have had some amazing experiences as a result of it. For those of you who do not know, I am from a very rural town in East Texas. The name of the town is Karnak. And in that town, my mother and my father raised us. I was born in Marshall, Texas, but right after I was born, we moved to that town. We moved to that town because my mother was raised there. My father was raised maybe like 40 minutes away. He was from a town called Kildare. But anyway, the elders were very important in our lives. My grandfather passed away when he was 92, I think, and my grandmother passed away when she was 96. So we had access to all of these elders in our lives, a lot of older people. So those people made a big impact on us, and they taught us their customs, the way they did things. They taught us about life when they were young. They taught us a lot of lessons. So when those people died, and then subsequently my grandparents died, and then my mom and dad died, society was telling me that I had to stop talking about them. You know, we don't have time for that. We don't have time to reminisce about the wisdom that they gave us. I was being taught this by society, my sisters, my friends. And so how do you release the interaction and the wisdom that these ancestors gave you just like that? And so I had a hard time with that. Not to mention, I am a hugger. I'm a hugger. I'm an extrovert. And my mother was the last extrovert that I remember that I was around, and she was my North Star. You know, she guided me and taught me. I believe she was neurodivergent. I was too, and I was having a hard time as a little girl, and my mother just came in and just helped me to fix all of that so I could get things done. And now I'm supposed to just leave her memory. I'm not supposed to talk about her. I'm not supposed to do anything that reminds me of her. And that just felt very strange. And so as I started to get older, I started to learn about customs and traditions where they honored their ancestors. China, places in Asia, they are honoring their ancestors, and we're not learning that here. I'm not learning that here. And so I said, you know what? I think I'm going to honor my ancestors. So that's what preceded the annual ancestral altar. Well, last year I was inspired to keep it up, and I did. I did that for a year. I advanced spiritually, I believe, and I was able to hear from my ancestors. Now, am I asking you to honor your ancestors in that way? No, I'm not. But I'm telling you from my experience, me putting up an ancestral altar and honoring my ancestors in that way has been a spiritually comforting. It has been energetically comforting. It has been good for my growth as a person. And so if you are inspired to honor your ancestors, whether that be with just a candle, with telling their stories, I want to encourage you to do that. I was doing some research the other day, and the information that I saw said that as a whole, the United States was one of the places where ancestral reverence was not. It was just not done as a whole. We're not teaching our children to look back at the accomplishments of their ancestors and not to honor their ancestors. We're just not doing it. And that's just something that I wasn't, when these people were elders, I honored them. And I don't understand why I cannot do that now, or it's not being taught now. So that part is what I'm talking about. But a lot of us are doing this anyway. We are honoring our ancestors by going to the grave site, or we should be going to the grave site, because it's embarrassing, but my grandmother passed away in 2007, and I haven't been back to her grave site, period. So who's keeping up with that? Who's taking care of that? I'm supposed to be doing that, but I'm telling you, I'm not. So that's one way we can honor our ancestors, telling stories about our ancestors, our grandmamas, Big Mama, Maria, telling those stories to our younger children and giving them the wisdom that was in those stories is a way we can honor our ancestors. When we go to funerals, that's honoring our ancestors. So some of these things we're doing, but the way that I honor my ancestors on a daily basis is I have an altar set up. And I don't know how you feel about that, but that's what I do. And it has brought me so much peace. I have an altar set up, and on my altar, I have pictures of my grandmother. I have pictures of my mom, my dad. I have pictures of my husband's aunts and his grandmother, because she was an amazing influence in my life, and she wasn't even my grandmother. And I'll tell y'all a story about how I met my husband, and it was kind of odd too, but I say odd, but it really wasn't. And I'll tell y'all on another video. But anyway, so those practices have helped to bring me so much peace, because when they passed away, you just have to stop talking about them because they're no longer here. But I do those practices, and I know that those practices are not a part of a religion, but they bring me so much joy. And so I have candles on my ancestral altar. I have a prayer altar too, but I have candles on my ancestral altar, and I play music. My parents were Christian, and so I play Pace Sisters, I play Albertina Walker, I play, what else I play? I play old spirituals. I'm from the country church, so those were spirituals where, what do they call them? My grandmother, my husband's grandmother used to talk about them. But anyway, those are the songs that I play. I play when I'm cleaning, I play that music, and it makes me feel better. So recently, I had a session with a belief worker. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I'm just going to tell you. Her name is Keisha and Hayes, and she works for Black Cherokee One Tribe. She is a Theta healer. I had heard of Theta healers some time ago, but I didn't know what they did. So she helped me to work through a belief that I had that was holding me back, that I didn't even realize that I had. And oh, hey y'all, I just noticed y'all were here. hey, I think that's Vanessa, and then hey y'all. Okay, so anyway, Keisha was helping me to get to the root of some of my beliefs. And I was so surprised at the belief that was bringing me down. And it was actually a belief that I think was created because of my being black, a black woman in America. And it was caused due to the way that my ancestors have been treated. My grandfather told me a story a long time ago. Actually, my grandmother told me the story. She said that my grandfather would, in our hometown, it's a lot of black people, bunch of black folks. And in that town, when my mother was a child, she had to ride a bus that was driven by a white person, a white man. And my grandfather said that told my grandmother that some of the things that were being allowed to happen on the bus and in relationship to the bus ride were just, they shouldn't have been done. I don't know what they were, but he didn't think that they should have been done that way. To the point, he would walk up and down the road to tell the adults to stop putting their children on the bus that was not driven by an African, I'm not saying African American, I don't care for that term, a black person, a black American. So he would do this on all the time he could muster to do that, because he was working, but he also would just get out in the community and tell black folks to stop putting their children on that bus until they got some black bus drivers, because he did not think that the children were being treated fairly by the Caucasian driver. And so he had done that for a while. And then one night they woke up and the house was on fire. Their house was on fire. And so I was asking my grandmother this during an interview I was doing for me in college for our family tree. And you know, they don't do family trees anymore. But anyway, I was interviewing her and I asked her, did she know the people who did it? And y'all, she just stopped talking. She wouldn't talk anymore, to the point I thought she was having a stroke. I was like, Maria, what's going on? She just stopped talking. And before she stopped talking, she said that she was telling everybody, y'all get up, the house is on fire, the house is on fire. And she said they ran out of the house, and like I told you, it's rural. And so the area where the house was, they were able to hear people in the distance saying, we got that N-word, we got that N-word. They were trying to unalive my grandfather and his family. So we were told that story, and those types of stories have an effect on you. And then you see other things in our society that are not so fair, and I'm being very diplomatic here, that are not so fair. And what do you do about those things? How do you live and work and then have to be so loving to everybody? And I thought that I was, but when I had this belief session, this Theta Healing session with this amazing practitioner who is also of Black and Indigenous ancestry, she made it very clear to me that I was not good with that. So this is something that I am working on, but it was that ancestral link that linked me originally to that energy in my spirit. But the ancestors have brought me so many other things. They have brought me wisdom. They have brought me determination. They have brought me spiritual support, energetic support. And so I don't see my connection to them as bad. I see it as complicated. But that just blew my mind. And I may be going a little all over the place here, but I just feel like there is a definite need for a relationship with the ancestors. If that's something that is inspiring you, then I just feel like you should do it. And I think you should do it your own way. You don't have to do it the way that anybody says that you should be doing it. You just need to be doing it. Energy therapy is one of the things that I offer at my office. And I believe that ancestral reverence, now we're not talking about ancestor worship. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. But I revere my ancestors just like if they were sitting in here, just like I did when they were alive. So I sometimes put coffee on my altar. I had some Folgers coffee here, and I just got the feeling that I should put on my ancestral altar, I should put the Folgers coffee. So I brewed it up and I put it on my ancestral altar. I have been in the store and got the feeling that I needed to put flowers on my ancestral altar. Bought the flowers, put them on my ancestral altar. And it just made me feel so much better. Going back to the healing session with Keisha. Keisha is also a spiritual medium, which means that she can connect people from the other side. And when because I wasn't really even deep into it. Honestly, I thought I was okay. And she includes that with her sessions. And I said, okay, well, I'll do this, because I wasn't really thinking much about it. So I sat down, and I'm open to it because I know when it gets weird, I can always just say, okay, I'm out of here. Even if I don't check out physically, I can check out mentally and spiritually, because you can't mess with me if I don't let you mess with me, is what I'm basically saying. So I've known Keisha now for about 2-3 years. She's always really sweet, always really kind. And plus I examine her energy. I do that anyway. I was taught that from a little kid. We were always taught to check the vibes out in a room. And I think that's one of the things that's pretty much kept me out of trouble, because I can do that. So anyway, she goes on and starts telling me about these people that she's seeing around me. And why come almost every one of the people she was telling me about was a person that was on my ancestral altar. She told me that she saw my aunt, my grandmother, my dad, my mom, and she didn't say those names. She just started to describe them or describe some of the things that they did. That's why I thought she was authentic. She talked about, like, my husband's grandmother loved to cook. And so she said, well, who's the chef in the family? I was like, that's my big mama. And so it was not an emotional thing. It wasn't, because I've done the work to kind of keep myself together, to know myself. And so I really didn't think that I need any kind of specific work about, some people go to intuitives for money and all of that. To me, it's not that. It's about elevating your spirit. That's what it's about for me. And she, when I booked the session, there was no intent of my trying to increase my income, increase love, or anything like that. It's all about knowing what God has for me and connecting to God on a very intimate level. For me, that's what it was about. And so I said, well, I got ancestors, and what messages do they have for me? And it wasn't anything profound. It was just like they would be here. I think one of the times she told me in the session that one of my ancestors wanted me to cook a sweet potato pie. And I think that intuitively, I believe that's because I work all the time. Y'all, I literally work all the time. I am not non-appreciative. I'm very appreciative, but I work all the time. And I think that that's the reason why that message came through, is that I needed to do that. Also, the story about my grandfather. I haven't told very many people about that story at all. And she said that she believed that my ancestors wanted that story to be told. And so that's one reason why I'm telling you the story right now, is because I believe that it needs to be told too. And I believe that there are a lot of Black people out there who were their ancestors were part of the transatlantic slave trade, and they now reside in the United States. I think that there are stories like that in every family. And she was telling me that she too had had some trauma from being a Black and Indigenous woman, because this baby is Black and Indigenous, being in America. I don't know that you can escape it. It has an effect on you and how you perceive the world. And I thought that I was good. I thought I was good. I also had a conversation with some friends that said that they were also dealing with this. So I am so grateful for Nikisha at Black Cherokee One Tribe for doing the Theta Healing work, doing the belief work, because y'all, it is something. It is something. A lot of us are not complaining because we are so accustomed to living this way, but we have wounds that need to be tended to. So I'm grateful for that. But I wanted to talk about Halloween. It is a time, some people believe, that the veil is thinner between the world of the living and the world of those who have gone before us and have gone to the greater beyond. And I believe that is true. I believe every year, I know for the past years, my ancestors have had wisdom that they wanted to impart, and they did that during this time of the year. And I believe that it gives us an opportunity to examine ourselves, especially if you're working with them on a daily, monthly, or weekly basis. It gives you an opportunity to reflect on their wisdom and to examine yourself, to see what things that you can improve upon. And then, like I said, Keisha gave me a pinpoint realization of what I needed to work on. And it is releasing the trauma that I have and my ancestors have experienced due to them being Black in America. Energy therapy is what I'm using to address those concerns. Of course, with energy therapy, you also have a wellness lifestyle of movement, of meditation, of prayer, of gratitude that helps you to move those things. But you have to be aware of them. I wasn't even aware that I had that issue with our paler brothers, because they are our paler brothers and sisters. I also wanted to just say that I enjoy celebrating not Thanksgiving, but Halloween. But if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. And I guess I should be like Tabitha Brown says, if you're not having a good day, don't you dare, mess somebody else's up. And that's what I say about Halloween. If you don't do it, I get it, because there are things that I don't do, but I don't go around upsetting other people on purpose. Or if you want to say something, that's great. But if you know somebody else is celebrating a holiday and you're not, just saying negative things to remind them that you don't celebrate the holiday or the special day, that you could do that, but is that going to bring peace is what I'm asking. I don't think so. But anyway, those are my thoughts about Halloween, Ancestor Reverence, energy therapy. I want to do more lives in the future because there are things that I want to talk about. I am a massage therapist and a holistic health practitioner. I do practice energy therapy, and if that's something you're interested in, go to my profile, click on the button. I do offer virtual sessions as well. I hope you're having a good day. This is Kiva Mac, Kiva Mac Massage and Wellness. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.